So, thank you very much, guys, for attending today. And today we will have a lot of fun learning about virtual production and the virtual production workflow. So, I will begin showing you our reel, our demo of our company, and after that, we will also share a case study of an actual Hollywood production that we did this year in April this year. So uh, allow me to share the screen so we can begin the show. Okay, thank you very much. And I want to ask you if you have any question anytime you can interrupt me. Okay, so you can go to the chat or use your, of course, microphone if you want to ask anything through the webinar and presentation. Thank you very much. So next thing we will see it's an actual case study of a Hollywood production named Train Dreams. Train Dreams is a theater feature film, and it has a lot of VFX on it, and we use virtual production, specifically a forest fire. We set it up in a virtual production volume in Seattle, Dallas. So allow me to share the screen.
I'm Clint Bentley, and I'm the director of Train Dreams. Talk to us.
Just wait me a little bit, please. Here it is. A little bit about the movie. Here we go.
I'm Clint Bentley, and I'm the director of Train Dreams.
Talk to us a little bit about the movie.
Train Dreams is a movie based on the novella by Dennis Johnson, and it stars Joel Edgerton and Felicity Jones, and a story about, it really tells the story of this one man's life, Robert Grenier, who's a logger and an itinerant laborer who lives from the early 1900s until the 1960s, and sees the world just completely change around him as his whole industry of logging and kind of expanding expanding westward, as all of that becomes mechanized and industrialized, and he kind of feels life pass on beyond.
Okay, well, I want to talk a little bit about the story of Train Dreams project. It was an amazing project. And I received this call from Bosler Studios. And after this call, they say they had this very interesting project regarding forest fire. So they asked us if we could do virtual set assets and in-camera VFX about this huge forest fire. We flew to the actual studio to work directly with their rendering nodes and media servers. The problem was that we didn't know exactly why, but hours before the shooting, the system stopped working. Totally. Absolutely. What's happening, Sebastian? Why is it not working?
Just press enter and see.
When we're in Skype, that's there's I just about to say no.
I don't get it.
Pues como son tecnologías nuevas y como todo va muy rápido, muchas cosas han salido mal en el proceso. El tracking no funciona, el 3D no funciona, ¿no? El programa no corre, no carga, se va lenta la pantalla, no prende la pantalla. Van muchos problemas en el proceso.
And we were trying to figure out what the challenge, what the problem was.
Every project has some unique issues. In this particular case, this recent project, we had some shooting at some special frame rates, which are really interesting. And so, we're rapidly adjusting. So it might be an Unreal Engine, it might be exporting very 12K plates, but being able to do that rapidly on the spot. So having their team critical part of the process with integrated here at every stage is vital. So it's the previs, it's the creating the worlds, it's the going back and forth to iteration, and then being on set, running the wall and the volume, and having the artists here that can demand to whatever the director needs.
Parte de mi trabajo como técnico es solucionar esos problemas y hacerlo de la manera más eficiente posible todo aquí, de cómo generar estos escenarios fotorrealistas lo mejor posible, pero que también lo aguante la computadora y que todo esté corriendo en tiempo real, ¿no?
So finally, our amazing researchers and operators found the solution. They did this magic with a little bit of coding and a little bit of resetting of stuff. And at the final hour, at the final moment, we got it. It worked! It worked!
You guys did an awesome job. I mean, it's, provided the CG environment in Unreal, CG renders that you're able to throw up there. This was the right decision to go this route for this project.
It's just been a great experience working with iDigital, and they're great collaborators, and every step of the way they were able to take direction and really hone in specifically on what our director's vision. It's been great.
Everybody, who's been helping us from both companies has been so wonderful and so collaborative and helpful to the process. It's just been incredibly easy and a wonderful experience.
Hi, it has been such an extraordinary experience working with these screens. It makes our job so much easier. So much of our imagination is done for us, because it just is, you're not acting to nothing. So it's been such a tremendous experience, and I think the effect is going to look fantastic with the finished film for Train Dreams.
Oh, it was awesome because it was our first Hollywood level movie, and it was a total and absolutely success.
We were talking to a few different partners, potential partners, to see who could create that content for us. And as soon as we got the first tests, even the very rough tests from iDigital, those tests were just head and shoulders above anything else that anybody had sent through. And it was just very clear immediately that these were the people to work with. Okay, so I want to share with you a little bit of our story. And basically we began around 4 years ago,
4 to 5 years ago, back in 2019, to research everything regarding virtual production. And we were fortunate enough to get the help from Scott Ross. Scott Ross was the head, the vice president of Lucasfilms for 9 years, and he was the founder of Digital Domain in partnership with James Cameron. So we got this this help from him. He's amazing, and he gave us a lot of tips and a lot of contacts and a lot of literature and documentation, so we can learn a lot about both the traditional VFX of way of doing things for filmmaking and the transition to virtual production. And of course, back on those days, there was this amazing, huge, game-changing production named Mandalorian. So because of his contacts and his references, I was fortunate enough to get a couple of manuals, a couple of materials and documents that help me understand what's the exact virtual production process. And I learned with them. I was fortunate enough also to know the vice president of Lux Machina. Lux Machina, as you know, is one of the main players in virtual production, and he was one of the pioneers with working with Disney and ILM and of course Lucasfilms in Mandalorian with Jon Favreau. So we realized very early on that virtual production was a huge game changer, of course, as you know. And so with all this advice from these amazing guys and amazing specialists in Hollywood industry, we tried to design this new workflow, trying to get the best practices. And we will discuss this workflow today pretty fast. We will oversee this workflow and I will share it to you. And we try to, optimize and apply a little bit of tips and secrets that we will discuss today regarding virtual production. So let me share with you and discuss a little bit about this virtual production workflow. As I said before, if you have any question at any time, please let us know. And this workflow, we were also fortunate enough to have the support of people such as Paul Galando, that's here. Hi, Paul. Very nice to see you here. And a lot of stakeholders around the filmmaking industry. And we offered this workflow as a complement to hardware, to infrastructure, to sets. So we also were fortunate enough to get the attention from huge companies such as Optic8 is one of the main players and the main integrators of virtual production solutions in the United States. And we helped them set up an amazing studio in Dallas, Texas named Trilogy. This studio is huge. It's around 157 feet by 24 feet tall. Is one of the biggest in the United States. And in that facility that's in Fort Worth, in Dallas, Texas, we have actually 3 sets. The cinematic one that you can see here, it's huge. And then we also have the car processing volume and, of course, the traditional commercial volume. So we help them basically operate these, and we help them precisely implement our workflow. They love our workflow. And we also design photorealistic content and environments for those stages. So the same happened with Bosler. Bosler Studios is in Seattle, Washington. And actually, the case study you just saw before, the Train Dreams case study was filmed here in Bosler. It's also a very, very nice stage, very nice facility over there. And yeah, they fortunately for us, they also loved our workflow, love the way we operate virtual production, and they like our photorealistic backgrounds, environments, and assets. So we deliver that with them. And there's another one, a new one in Mexico City named 1111 Studios, and we are building this. It will be ready in basically in February. And before this new upgrade, we had a small volume over there, but we upgraded to a much bigger one that will be ready pretty soon in Mexico City. And last but not least, we have a new one in this new partnership.
Are you ready to lead the future of filmmaking? In a world where
partnership with Visual AI that's in Anaheim, California. And they are setting up a very nice volume also in Anaheim, in LA area. And of course, we're partnership precisely to implement workflows to, of course, deliver content and, setting up an academy also, because we have an academy going on. So basically that's our story, about background story. So let's go back to let's get back to our workflow here. So what's the workflow we are talking about? So this is the workflow, and what we propose precisely is to begin always with previs and techvis. Why is very important to begin with previs and techvis? Because for virtual production, is very, very important to plan ahead, to be a great planner and to have as much as preliminary visuals as possible, so you can make the right decisions for your filmmaking. And what I mean is, virtual production is an amazing tool, but it won't solve everything. So you need to precisely try to visualize beforehand exactly what kind of framing you need, what kind of shot list you need, and a big advice is to try to use some tools to do a 3D pre-visualization and a tech vis. And there are a lot of tools to do this, and we advise one amazing tool named CineTracer, because it's very easy to use, and you have a lot of tools you can use, including like scanning locations for pre-visualization. Of course, this scanning is not a high-res scanning, it's a low-res scanning, but it's very helpful for previs. So allow me to show you an example of this workflow for previs. And again, if you have any question, please let me know.
And then show you how to bring that into CineTracer.
So step one is to download Polycam onto your iPhone. And when you first turn it on, you're just going to see a camera, and you'll be able to just start walking around and generally point the camera at the location you're going to scan, and it's going to automatically take the photos for you. From there, you can choose what resolution you want. I chose full, and then it's going to upload it to their server and start turning it into a 3D model. It's done about an hour later, something like that, maybe less, and there it is. Pretty cool, right? The best part is that it's to scale. There are some issues with it, but it's pretty detailed, depending on how well you scanned it. From there, I'm going to export to OBJ, and I use Google Drive. You can also use Dropbox or something else. You're going to get a zip file with an OBJ file and a bunch of maps. We're in Blender now. We're going to import this into Blender and check it out. I have a video on this process in more detail if you want to check that out on YouTube. And there's the model without the texture, but we click our little button, and yeah, it looks just like it did on the phone, and it's pretty close to the real location. We're going to move it up out of the ground, and we're going to hit Control A and apply all transforms. This is for CineTracer. Then we're going to hit Tab Go to polygon mode, hit A to select all the polygons, and we're going to go to set from faces. This is going to fix the normals that come in from Polycam. This is ready to go to Cinetracer now. We're going to export as FBX and bring it right in. Find the file, and we have our location scan. Next, we can add our metahuman and start doing some work on this one. I'm just going to build a little scene here, adding a camera, sitting down, kind of changing.
As you can see here, the scanning is not very high res, of course, but it's good enough so you can prepare and previs your scene. So this tool is pretty easy and pretty fast, so you can do your 3D scene in a very fast way, so you can previs what will happen with your scene. The name of this software is Cinetracer. We use it a lot. And of course, not only you have the capabilities of doing previs, but also you have capabilities to do TechVis, as you can see. And what I mean with TechVis is exactly technically which gear will you use, which camera, with which lenses, which what kind of dolly or crane or even drone you need to use for your scene. So you can plan ahead everything related to, of course, your shoot. So that's an amazing tool, and that's an example of the way we do it. So the next step, of course, is very important, is the production design. And here we have, what we call the practical art department involved. And this is very interesting because usually one way to go is to first involve the digital artists in the design and in the building of the virtual production. And this sounds like common sense, to begin with the CGI, to begin with the virtual construction, a virtual building of your environments. And after that, then you bring the practical guys, the practical art department, the physical builders to match the background. The problem with that is that usually this approach is not as good, because you get what producers and directors often calls like a gameish results that looks like a video game. So the other way to do it is the way that usually Industrial Light and Magic and Disney uses, and is the other way around that we propose, that everything should begin with the physical part of it. That's a little secret sauce for virtual production, to begin with the practical, with the physical part, involving first the practical art department, so they can build, in essence, even in a model size, in a scale size, the environment. And after that, you will have the scanning guys, the guys that will scan maybe this model or this physical proposal, or even an actual location. They can go and scan it and then bring that to the virtual environment. Why is that? Because, reality is always, more real than CGI. So it's better to scan reality than to construct and build from scratch. Of course, it always depends on what kind of movie you're doing. If you're doing sci-fi, maybe you can get away with the usual way to do it, because CGI is very compatible with sci-fi, and I will show you an example of that. But usually what we recommend is to always think about the physical world first, and the building of the physical world first, and then digitize that world so you can get more photorealistic results. And I will show you right now a couple of examples of both approaches to the actual building of environments, okay? So this is the traditional one, the traditional CGI virtual art department. And of course you have modeling and texturing on it.
want to show you how you can create this with that visual aspect more than quality. I want to prove you that you only need to dream, imagine, and be hungry to build incredible environments. But let's rewind what I want to show you during this trip.
It's been a long night. Black skies glowing. We're losing light. Where am I going?
So as you can see, it's a traditional way of building from scratch. It's,
Black skies glowing.
of course, sci-fi environment. You can see all the details, and this is what's done with Blender. And right now, the main software that the main couple of packages that I use platforms are Blender and Maya. So Maya is the traditional. And after you build these, then you put textures on it, like you can see texturing of it, the weathering of it, and then you export that to the Unreal environment. As you know, the Unreal is the main engine for virtual production.
I need a fresh soul. On a different body. I need to. I need to find somebody.
So this was an excellent example of how to produce, an environment from scratch, a CGI environment for scratch that can be used for both, traditional VFX and virtual production. Now I want to show you the other way to do it, that's scanning. There are a couple of techniques, and I will explain that in detail for scanning. One is
Hey, I'm Sophie,
traditional
and I'm one of the AI voices from Revoicer. My voice sounds so
traditional photogrammetry, and the other is Gaussian splatting, and I will explain the differences.
In this video, we're going to compare some photogrammetry mesh models to those same data sets, the same initial point cloud of tie points from the photogrammetry software that has been processed with the Gaussian splatting method. So we're going to compare the photogrammetry mesh with the Gaussian splatted point cloud running in Unity. Let's take a look at the photogrammetry model. We're looking at the textured mesh here in Agisoft Metashape, and I've just turned on the cameras and I'm rotating this around so you can see where I took the photographs from. And if I switch this to the untextured mesh, so just the polygonal surface model, we can start seeing really the quality of this, the 3D model here. And there's a few problematic areas, but overall, given the constraints of the conditions that I was photographing under, it turned out pretty well, I think. Now I'll turn on those key points, and this, what we're looking at right now, this point cloud, that is what was run through the Gaussian splatting method. And I'll turn on the tie and the key points here, and you can see those are all the points that were matched between the photographs. So those are the features that were found in a single photo in the photogrammetry, the structure from motion. Turning the texture back on, we can see that photogrammetry, there's only data in the model or the texture if there's a photograph of it. So of course here, where I was not able to take photos above this altar, there's no data there, there's no texture. It just blends the colors together. So a few things to make note of when we compare this to the Gaussian splatted model. The details in this highly reflective marble sculpture, the reflections on the columns on either side, and the sort of fine details of, for example, the arrow that angel is holding. By the way, this is the Ecstasy of Saint Teresa by Bernini, a fantastic Italian sculptor. And this is in the Church of Santa Maria della Vittoria in Rome. And one more thing, another few key differences between the photogrammetry model and the Gaussian splatted point cloud are going to be the reflections on the columns and on other reflective surfaces, the fine details on that sculpture, and finally some of the reflections on the marble. Let's take a look at the Gaussian splatted model now.
So as you can see, with both photogrammetry and Gaussian splatting, you get very photorealistic results, and that's pretty amazing. The main challenge is that you have so much detail, as you can see, in all parts, in all elements of this asset. It's huge. It's beautiful, but it's a huge object. So you need, when you do for photogrammetry, that's a traditional one, you need to be able to optimize, because you will bring this to a computer and you want to render it in real time so you can, produce virtual production. So that's one of the main challenges. The other challenge with both Gaussian splatting and photogrammetry is the shadows. If you are over there, you can see the shadows here, and the shadows are fixed, are what we call baked on it. You cannot move it. You cannot, um, yeah, you cannot move the shadows or change the lighting, because you scan that object with the light. That's why the main and higher end way to do photogrammetry is actually to do a scale model of it in a physical way. And then you have the full control of the lighting of the scale model when you scan, because it's better for you to have a very flat, without shadows, what we call unlighted version of it. So you can, in the moment of, when you are doing the virtual production, you can light it as you want, as your actual director of photography wants it. As you can see here, that's a good example, because that day you have a lot of clouds. It's a cast day. So that's good. If you have a cast day, then you don't have shadows on your scan. And that's good, because then the shadows, you can integrate the lighting in the virtual world, and you can control the shadows and the lighting the way you. I don't know if that makes it clear. The main difference between actual photogrammetry and Gaussian splatting is that photogrammetry is much more precise, and it produces an actual complete mesh of polygons. So you can change the polygons the way you want. You can copy paste any part of it, or you can explode the polygons for actual visual effects, such as explosions, such as particles, etc., etc. You can put fire in it, and simulate fires with actual full meshes, with full polygons. When you have Gaussian splatting like this is Gaussian splatting, you have a little bit of noise. Do you see the noise? That noise is because Gaussian splatting is much faster to do. You can do this kind of Gaussian splatting with drones, with video from drones, for example. But you have a couple of problems of quality. And the other thing is that it's a projection simulation. So you're not able to manipulate individual polygons or detailed polygons with it. So that might be a problem.
Running a Shopify store
if you want to do like explosions, or you want to deconstruct or rearrange your scene. So basically, Gaussian splatting is pretty good for faraway background realistic 3D scenes. Any questions until now? We will see an example of a full workflow application with Mandalorian. Any questions? I have a question. Can you make a mesh out of a splat? It's experimental. You know, a lot of companies are experimenting a lot with these techniques, Sam. So yeah, there are even like moving video 3D, what we call volumetric video also. And there are also a couple of, you know, what we call the remeshing of Gaussian splatting, but it's very experimental. And in my experience, it's still very, very in early stages. So short answer is not right now, not, it's not ready for production. So you go one way or another. That's my advice now. Maybe in the near future, 6 months, 1 year from now, we will have a better solution. I don't know if I answer your question. Yeah, Sam. Photogrammetry is better for generating mesh if you want to model with it, or you want to, modify it, or do explosions or manipulate it in a much more detailed way to do it. Okay, so I want to go to after you saw this to a little bit of basics. Let's call it that way, a pretty fast video so you can see the full application of what we saw right now in a pretty fast video that I will find here. Here it is. Let's look at this.
A few times in my career, I've had a chance to be part of game-changing technology. Moments when a new way of filmmaking changed the way stories could be told forever. Working with Jon Favreau to create the world of The Mandalorian with our own stagecraft technology has been one of those moments. Stagecraft is a new virtual production tool that utilizes the latest innovations in real-time graphics and massive LED screens that allows us to bring entire locations into a soundstage and photograph them live. Telling stories in ways we could only dream of.
Gabriel, I think you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry,
This new
guys.
collaboration process brings the artists and the crews into a creative partnership with efficiencies that now marry pre-production, production, and post, all in sync to preserve the cinematic culture around.
Here we go.
A few times in my career, I've had a chance to be part of game-changing technology. Moments when a new way of filmmaking changed the way stories could be told forever. Working with Jon Favreau to create the world of The Mandalorian with our own stagecraft technology has been one of those moments. Stagecraft is a new virtual production tool that utilizes the latest innovations in real-time graphics and massive LED screens that allows us to bring entire locations into a soundstage and photograph them live. Telling stories in ways we could only dream of a few years ago. This new collaboration process brings the artists and the crews into a creative partnership with efficiencies that now marry pre-production, production, and post, all in sync to preserve the cinematic culture around a singular artistic vision. By eliminating unnecessary travel, a more controlled environment, and efficiencies with set design and special effects that allow for an in-camera visual experience, actors are immersed in those environments rather than having to imagine what they're seeing or reacting to. And ironically, the efficiency of stagecraft has allowed us to continue to work during this pandemic. On The Mandalorian Season 2, we expanded stagecraft's capabilities further and built an even larger volume. Additionally, we are building 3 more volumes right now in Los Angeles, London, and Australia, advancing the Disney-owned technology and building the studio of the future.
Okay. So yeah, let's keep moving with the workflow. So we saw already previous, and we saw the importance of virtual art department. Another additional note is we try to separate two disciplines inside virtual art department, and this is something that is part of our workflow, and it's not usually the way it works in Hollywood, but we want to separate always the organic virtual art department team from the set virtual art department, because it's very different. The disciplines to create organic elements such as characters, such as animals, such as plants, such as fluids, etc., is very different from the disciplines that are needed to produce fixed sets, like inorganic elements, such as backgrounds, such as sets, such as props. Is very, very different, and you have different techniques to achieve that, especially with, as you know, character design. With character design, you need to rig, you need to of course, do these skeletons and bones that are compatible with motion capture, for instance. So that's very different. So the other step in our workflow is special effects, and we divide exactly the way we divided the virtual art department. We divide special effects, the practical special effects guys that works always together with the actual in-camera visual effects guys. And this is very important to plan ahead, as you can see here. So why this is very important? Because it's very difficult to simulate realistic special effects in Unreal and in 3D, as you know. Things like water, fog, fire. You have very nice simulations in Unreal, but they are not as realistic as the real, of course, elements, such as actual fire and actual rain and actual fog and actual snow. So the way we try to design this is precisely to analyze and make a choice of exactly what kind of technique we will use for that. But also, we usually try to video shoot the actual special effects. We try to do it at first in practical, and these practical effects we usually shoot it at high speed, like 80 frames per second or 120 frames per second, and then these plates we bring them to the virtual realm, to the virtual world in layers. So this is a very nice trick. And this is the way we did it in actually train dreams. And that's why the results were very realistic and were a little bit more realistic than our competition. Because a lot of people in our competition usually tries to use like fire simulators or fluid simulators. And that's nice. That's really cool. But usually you get more realistic results with actual shooting of special effects. Of course, you have advantages and disadvantages of this. If you shoot these special effects elements, you will have only a 2D plate of these elements. And if you want to rotate the camera very much, or do a steady cam shot, then you will struggle with virtual production virtual production in camera VFX. So you need to design, of course. That's why previs and storyboards are very important for your production always. So you can decide exactly what kind of technique you should use for each and every one of your shots. It's everything clear? Do you have any questions? Please feel free to ask. And then we have a very important element, that's lighting. And I will show you the new amazing capabilities of lighting inside Unreal 5.5. Let me share here.
Go to motionready.com to add this to your video, and that, and that.
Thank you, Simon. Hey, Victor.
Hey, everyone.
Let's jump right into it. When we look at where to take Unreal Engine in the future, we start with the user, asking ourselves how the tools and the tech get out of their way as they bring their ideas to life. One challenging limitation for our creators has been the cost of shadow casting lights. To that end, we've developed new technology that enables artists to use orders of magnitude more and higher quality light sources than ever before. Let's take an early look at this new feature we're calling Mega Lights. And who better to guide us through this experience than our intrepid explorer from Lumen in the land of Nanite, Echo. Let's see what's up ahead, Victor.
Always something new to discover.
Before we get into the details of Mega Lights, I first wanted to talk about this environment. Built using a suite of brand new assets from the Quixel Megascans library, we've also partnered with Kitbash 3D. They're an awesome resource for 3D models and materials. You can soon find many of these assets on our new Fab Asset Marketplace if you want to use them in your own projects. Moving on, let's talk Mega Lights. Unreal Engine is at its best when users can express themselves without technical constraint. Like Nanite did for triangles or Lumen for global illumination, Mega Lights removes limitation in a whole new category: direct lighting and shadows. Take, for example, these textured area lights, considered the gold standard of offline rendering. Here they are, in real time, spilling vibrant color into the scene, casting soft shadows, and illuminating the environment in a way artists simply couldn't have done before. And a whole new tool in the Creator's Toolkit is huge, but that's not the only way Mega Lights makes things better. Let's see what's next.
Hey there, little guy. Who are you?
So it looks like Echo has found herself in quite an interesting marketplace here. It's just about to open for the day. Let's turn on some of these shop fronts and see what's for sale. There's something missing, though. The scene, it's flat, it's undefined. Let's turn on shadows, but not just for a few important lights, for every single light in the entire view. From these main shop fronts to the screens, the displays, the flickering oil lamps, string lights, candles, signs, we're free to use whatever lights we need to tell our story and bring this beautiful environment to life. Now, the density of light sources you see here, it's extremely high. And this is what you get when artists are working playfully, without limitation. Okay, let's go back to the scene. Victor, let's go further. Let's activate all these animated drones and robots. Over 1,000 individual shadow casting light sources in this view alone.
Wow, like little fireflies.
All of these lights, they're movable, dynamic, scattering through the volumetric fog, and Mega Lights handles this impressive scene without missing a beat. As we continue on, it's worth mentioning that removing these limitations around light count and shadows, it doesn't just apply to point and spotlights, but to area lights as well. Mega Lights enables artists to use area lights as freely as they would any other light source. Now, whether you're using textured area lights, light functions, crisp shadows, or lovely soft shadows, You can have huge numbers of lights of any type in whatever configuration works best for your.
So as you can see, the lighting capabilities of Unreal, are amazing. The quality is beautiful, but it's very important to match it with the real world, and that's one of the main challenges with virtual production. The match between the real world, what's happening inside the volume, in the foreground, in the practical world, in the physical world, the matching to the virtual world is the main challenge. So you can have realistic results. That's what you're always aiming to have realistic results. So that's one of the main challenges. And when we do workshops, we try exactly to do that. We try to teach our students how to achieve realistic results with a lot of tricks to match the virtual world with the actual practical world. And I'm talking about art design, special effects, and of course, lighting. That's very important. So I will show you another very interesting video about a guy that is matching and controlling in a very small laboratory, in a very small lab setup, the lighting with Unreal and DMX protocol. So this is very, very interesting.
To pretty much any background I want to see, just at the press of a button. And not only does the background change, but the lighting changes to match. So, how am I doing this? Well, I'm going to take you through the trick. So, step one, let me get to a background like, step one is I have a bunch of backgrounds that are different VP backgrounds that I found. Actually, I found a lot of these on YouTube, so it's pretty simple. Let's take a look at one. So here's one. You can just see it's basically just a clip, just a playing clip that I can just play over and over again, looping background, easy peasy. And I put a bunch of these into a folder so I can quickly organize them. And then in OBS, I set each one as a source. So if I click on this scene in OBS, you can see it just loads right where that clip is on my hard drive, and I can just recall that scene anytime I want. And because I have two computers in this room, there's the one that is where OBS is here in the room, and then underneath this room there's another computer that actually drives the wall. That computer is running another instance of OBS and will receive whatever this computer is sending out. So that's how I get it from this computer to the one that's driving the screen. And I also, on the computer in the other room, have a program that is controlling the lights. So you can see in this room I've got 2 front lights and a NAND light overhead. So the 2 front lights are Lightgear Spectrum 4 light mats. And above me is the Nanlite Forza 60C, which is a beautiful little backlight. It gives me this light over here. And I can control exactly what those things are looking at using NTEC's ELM Pixel Mapper software. So each one of these guys corresponds to a particular light. Let's see if I can drag this around. So you can see, like, as I drag this little line, this represents the 4 pixels in that light gear, and I can just put that wherever I want on the desktop to sample that piece of the image, and it corresponds to what is behind me. So the lights, as you can see, if I change now, everything will synchronize up to that. So as the image changes, the lights are sampling a different part of that screen as the new image comes up, and the color of the background instantly synchronizes with the lights. Fun. So now finally, how do I have this set up to where I can control everything at the push of a button? Well, if you look over here, you can see I have a little Stream Deck that's been programmed to control OBS. So each one of these little buttons corresponds to a different scene. So here I've got sci-fi background, arcade background, Chicago apartment, kind of Blade Runner-y sort of look, New York City apartment, or a nice little kind of vacation desert scene, whatever, palm tree kind of thing. So to make.
So as you can see, this tool is very, very useful and very revolutionary, because it also allows you to make all the setup of the lighting automatic through DMX setting and DMX programming that is completely and full compatible with Unreal. So imagine the time saving of these setups, and you can even program motors like in the concerts. This actually DMX is a protocol that it was invented for concerts. So you can bring actually motors with this protocol to the set, and you can control also the movement in several axes inside your volume, so you can make all the lighting automatic. So that's pretty revolutionary. But as you can see here in the middle, it's very important to have a practical gaffer, your director of photography, a DMX technician, and your digital gaffer. So they work together and do the as many rehearsals, tests as needed, so they can match perfectly the way that the virtual world is behaving regarding lighting and the actual physical world is behaving inside your body. And finally, we have, of course, all the stages regarding the installation of the wall. And we do this after we do all the preliminary testing, because sometimes you need to decide the actual form factor of your volume. So after all these tests, maybe the director of photography or maybe your director might decide that you need a higher volume so you can cover a bigger scope, a bigger frame. So it's very usual for us to do last minute changes of the form factor of the actual LED wall. Belly is asking, yeah, can we, yeah, of course, we will send you the session, the recording of the session, in the near future. Fernanda will help me with that. And of course, there's that all the disciplines regarding camera tracking and camera movement and how to track and how to use these tools, such as robotics, such as technocrane, traditional tracking, dollies, etc., etc. And of course, we have adjustments and rehearsals. We, recommend a lot of rehearsals, a lot of blocking, a lot of design, so you can be absolutely ready for your shooting days. And we have technical stages such as real-time color. You need to, of course, calibrate and design your color for your LED wall, because everything is happening in real time. So what you see is what you get. Remember that, guys. So you need to be very careful with color. And of course, you should work with your color technician and your DIT all the time in your workflow. And thank you, Belly. She says this is very interesting. If you want to share, please, your email on the chat so we can send you the, of course, this conference we will. And at last, we will have a little session regarding AI. I will show you a video on how AI can be applied, especially for 2D and 2.5D plates. And what I mean with 2.5D plates, it's, layers in the background. When you don't need full 3D parallax, and what I mean with full 3D parallax is that if you have your set here, you need to virtually see all the sides and all the 3D elements in your virtual world, then you can, get away with 2D backgrounds. And there's usually a rule of thumb. And when you have something that's farther away than around 60 to 80 feet away, then you can get away with flat flat plates. Why is that? Because your eye, it's ready for 3D, for actual 3D parallax, for closer objects, not for objects that are far away. So if you have like a sunset or a landscape, a mountain landscape in the background, then you can use 2D plates, what we call 2D plates. And there are amazing, new tools and new techniques to design these 2D plates and to enhance these 2D plates with actual artificial intelligence. So allow me to show you an example of this.
Let me show you how we made this using Firefly Image 3 and After Effects. Let's dive into it. All right, so I have my clip here in After Effects. I have to make a still frame of this, so I'll go to Composition, Save Frame As, File. And that's gonna make a PSD, so I'll bring that into Photoshop to make a JPEG. And now I'll jump over to firefly.adobe.com, link is down below. And I'll add my prompt, and I'll hit Generate. So in my settings here on the left, you can see I'm using Firefly Image 3. Aspect ratio will be 16:9. And down in the structural reference section, I'll hit upload image and I'll upload my screenshot. So what structural reference does is it takes the actual structure of your scene, and based on your prompts, you could transform the scene while maintaining the same structure, which allows for some pretty crazy compositing. Anyway, I have my structural reference. And before I generate, I'll select a few of the effects down here. And now I'll hit generate. Now these examples are good, but I'd like to make it more of a photograph to match my video. So I'll select photo instead of art, and I'll hit generate again. Okay, very nice. I'll use this one. So I'll download that and bring it into Photoshop with my original image, and I'm going to select around my subject here using the selection tool. So with that selection, I'll reveal my Firefly layer, and I'll delete that section. And I'll actually remove the foreground parts as well. Now it looks a little sloppy, but we have to blend our layers together. So I'll go to Layer, Merge Visible, and I'll select the edges of my two layers where my two layers meet. And I'll hit Delete. So with that alpha part still selected, I'll expand my selection by a pixel or two. Now hit Generative Fill, and I'll leave it blank and hit Generate. And it blends these in really nice. So I just wanted to show you quick before I bring this back into After Effects. I just isolated part of the mountain here as a separate layer, and I added a couple of foreground elements just to sell the effects. So bringing this into After Effects as a composition, I'll bring this right into my comp. Looks great. Now I have to motion track my video layer. So I'll go to Animation, Track in Boris FX Mocha, and I'll click on the Mocha icon. And now in Mocha, I'll select the X-Spline tool, and I'll roughly select my mountaintop here. Once I have that selected, I'll select Show Surface and Align Surface to make the output the same size of my comp. I'll unselect Skew because we don't need that, and Track Forward. And I'll speed this up for you. You can see the track looks really good. And I'll save this and go back to After Effects. And I'll drop down Tracking Data, and I'll click Create Track Data. Hit OK. And Layer Export To, I'll select my PSD layer, and I'll hit Apply Export. So before I show the final result, I added a couple of moving elements like this fan and some dust particles, and I made sure to hide the PSD layers that I don't need. And here it is.
So yeah.
Your videos are not good because you are missing this one simple step. It is no coincidence.
Sorry about that. So yeah, so as you can see, we have a lot of tools and we have an amazing workflow. If you are interested in learning this workflow in more detail, we will have next week, we will have a workshop, a hands-on workshop. We will have 4 days of theory online and 2 days hands-on on an actual virtual production LED wall volume in Anaheim, California. So Gina will explain a little bit more about this if you're interested, if you're are near California or you're willing, or or you can attend in California. And also, of course, we bring very affordable, I have to say, that new solutions for virtual production. If you have a studio or you have a school or an academy and you're interested in integrating and having virtual production solution on site, we have several offerings in a big range of prices, so we can deliver amazing results with this workflow in your own studio with LED walls or even green screen with tracking. So yeah, that's what we are and what we are offering now. So please, Gina, can you explain us a little bit more about next week workshop?
Oh, hi everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Can you hear me right? I don't know because I have the AirPod in it.
Yes,
Okay.
we hear you.
Yeah. Let me share the screen here. I'm sharing with a video. This is a little introduction about our workshop.
Audio. Yeah, it's only music, so yeah, because you didn't share the audio thing, Gina.
Okay. Yeah, I think because my AirPod.
No, I think you need to share it with the share option of Zoom. Anyhow, I think it's just music, so yeah, but no, we are not hearing you. I don't know why, Gina. We don't have audio from you, Gina. We cannot hear you. Um, Stop the presentation and put in your headphones, and maybe that will work. No audio. Go ahead. Talk. Put
Can
the
you hear
audio.
me now?
Yeah, now we're.
Okay,
You
great.
forgot your head.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so here's our syllabus of the work about the workshop. For the first day, we're gonna learn about the pre-production and stuff like script structure and script without limits. Gabriel, do you want to explain like more details about this?
We can
Or we
send
can
that
just
out.
go ahead.
We're short of time. We don't want to
Okay, yeah.
use that much of your time, but we can, if you're interested, we
Yes.
can send you the syllabus, the program, and
Mhm.
but basically we will extend exactly what we saw today.
Yes.
Oversaw today. We will extend it in detail, so you can
Mhm.
learn exactly what we're talking about, and you will get a certificate. And as you saw before, several studios around you, the United States, knows about this certification, including Lux Machina, including Opticade, including Bosler, including a couple of studios in California. So it's very, I think, very useful to get this certification. You will get specific tips and secret sauces because as you saw in this webinar, we aim to have high quality and high photorealistic results with virtual production. Even when you don't have a higher end system, you can actually achieve realistic, high quality, virtual production with our workflow. And that's that's exactly what we want to teach you through this and with this workshop. So yeah, we will have 4 days of online detailed explanation. We will practice with software. And after these 4 days, from Monday to Thursday, Friday and Saturday, we will have practice. And on Saturday, we will produce a music video hands-on, so we can apply to this music video all the techniques, including not only the virtual part, but also practical art department. We will have special practical effects such as fog, such as simulation of fire, so you can learn how to match realistically, as we talked before, the actual practical part with the digital part of it. Yes. Yeah, it's $1,600 around, but we have a special price for you guys today. Can you elaborate on it, Gina, please?
Yes. Let me share this here. Right now we are gonna have Cyber Monday deals here, so it's gonna be 999. So this offer is gonna end tomorrow, and we also gonna have a soft opening that is gonna be free if you guys wanna come and see our stage here, where you're gonna be learning on site.
So yeah,
Yeah.
let us know if you're interested. And of course, we will have an opening of this new stage. This opening will happen this Thursday, the 5th. And of course, you're also invited if you can, if you want to share your email. And I think maybe Fernanda already have your emails. We will send you the invitation also. You need to register for the opening of the volume of the new studio next Thursday. And of course, if you're interested, we can, of course, save your space for the Cyber Monday discount. Okay, guys, let us know. Okay, do you have any final question, guys? Any final questions, guys, for today? Okay, then we will share this webinar, the recording of this webinar. Also, we will send this recording to your emails, and of course, feel free to ask us anything. My personal email, I will share you my personal email here. If you have any questions regarding the workshop, any questions regarding the opening, and that will happen Thursday, or any technical questions regarding virtual production workflow or techniques, please let me know. And thank you very much, guys, for being here today. It says if there are any job opportunities after learning from you guys. Yes, actually, of course, fortunately, do you still? Yes, of course. We have permanent involvement with the location in Dallas. Those partners are, we're working, still working with them, and it's a long-term relationship, actually a partnership with them, with the Seattle volume, the Seattle studio, the Dallas studio, and now the Anaheim studio and Mexico City studio. There are a lot of job opportunities, of course. And as you know, and as you are aware, next year will be very important for virtual production, because it will be the year that virtual production becomes mainstream in all the studios. It's the same that happened with the digital camera in the 2000s. At first, it was a little niche. It was kind of expensive to use digital cameras. And after RED cameras came to the market, it became very democratic. Everyone wanted and learned about digital cameras. I think 2025 will be the year that virtual production becomes mainstream in all kinds of budgets, and I mean independent filmmaking, episodics, but also music videos, commercials, and even, of course, uh, in schools. Actually, Paul Galando, he's a teacher and one of the board members from NYU, and we're talking to collaborate together in New York University also. He was kind enough to invite us to screen our documentary. I will send you also our feature film documentary regarding virtual production. And yeah, 2025 and 2025 will be the year of virtual production for all. So you will have a lot of job opportunities, I think.
Yeah, Fernanda, she already shared the syllabus in the chat if anyone is interested.
Yeah, I have a proposal here from one of the partners. If you attend you're able to attend the opening Thursday in Anaheim, you might get an additional discount for the workshop.
Yes. I also gonna send the schedule.
The worldwide.
Event schedule.
What do you mean worldwide? The workshop will happen physically, Doug, in Anaheim, because we will have hands-on practice. But if you want to just apply to the online part of it, we can negotiate, make a deal regarding those days. Yeah. Oh, I see. Well, actually, we're planning a Matt workshop in Dallas next year, in the big volume. The problem with doing the workshop in the big volume is that the operation costs of the big volume, because it's huge, it's much higher than in Anaheim. So the workshop is a little bit, well, considerably more expensive, like $1,000 more expensive in Dallas. Oh yeah, the relevance of virtual production, it will be worldwide. Actually, I'm quoting right now a couple of stages for India, for the Bollywood movies. So yeah, I went to Cannes Film Festival this year, and I went to the International Summit. Paul Galando was there also, and everyone is talking about virtual production, and of course, everyone is talking about artificial intelligence. The thing is that no one wants to get that fast to artificial intelligence, because we had this problem with the strikes in the unions last year, if you remember, and of course, everyone is trying to make a commitment, a compromise, and fortunately, virtual production is like the ultimate compromise before AI. So it's a good point to, of course, it's a very good point of negotiation with the unions. Talk about virtual production. Those learn set extension, LED wall. Well, LED wall, you can learn with us a lot, because actually our partners at Visual AI are also manufacturers of LED walls. So we know everything about LED walls, fortunately. Set extension is very interesting. We use a couple of softwares. One of those is Aximetry. And actually, also Visual AI is designing their own software for set extension. So yeah, we can discuss that, to maybe have a consulting hours for set extension, or maybe organize a specific workshop for set extension. Thank you, Paul. Cannes was awesome, so exciting. Oh yeah, thank you very much, Paul. You're a great friend, and of course, one of our main partners in crime. So we are really grateful with you, Paul, and you guys are doing amazing stuff also in New York University, and he's part of Holodeck. That's also an amazing LED company, and Paul is great. Thank you. Okay, guys. Any other question? Yeah, of course. I'm Farina. How can I go through this learning process? Maybe we can talk one to one. I know are you a producer yourself, or director of photography, or director, filmmaker? As I said, I'm talking with a couple of producers in India. So yeah, I don't know. We can talk one to one, Ken, and we can discuss, roadmap so we can work together. If that sounds good for you. Oh, I'm sorry, Matt. Uh, Matt, do you help build? Oh yeah, of course, of course. Okay. Let me share with you. I forgot that our Matt and everyone, our website of environment design. This is ours also. It's our company, and we do all kinds of course, assets and environments. We have a very interesting catalog, and we are feeding the catalog daily or very often. And yeah, we build all kind of solutions, very realistic ones, as you can see. We have case studies and everything. So feel free to, browse through our website, the content website. This is the one. I share with you, Matt, here. Sam, I'd love to have a call with you. Yes, of course. Of course, Sam. Let's do that. You have my email already, right? So I also use a lot of WhatsApp, so we can, uh, you know, this is an international number for WhatsApp, and we can set up a Zoom meeting one-to-one with anyone, please. Okay. Any questions? Did I answer your question, Matt? You're happy with the answer?
Yes, that was good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Well, thank you very much, and I hope you can make it this Thursday in Anaheim. If not, please feel free to reach us, and we will, of course, follow up on this very, very interesting adventure. Thank you very much, guys, and I will send you the recording of this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.